I'm being joined by the designer of the extremely popular Dust universe, which isn't just Dust Tactics and Dust Warfare, Paolo Parente. Did I say that close enough?
Close enough. Parente. That's okay. The Spanish influence is not bad.
We Americans, we can barely speak the Queen's English. But I wanted to welcome you. You're here in Glendale, Arizona from your home in China.
Yes.
And what's going on in the background, and I do apologize, there's probably some glare because we're in Arizona. We're in Glendale, Arizona. It's very sunny out. Yeah. But you are at the Southwest Dust Devils Game Day here at Imperial Outpost Games. That's a mouthful. How are you enjoying the U.S. so far?
Well, I arrived yesterday, basically, so it's been very warm and welcoming. You know, Arizona is my first time here.
Yes.
Looks amazing, really. And the people here are just wonderful people. Yeah.
You should be very happy that you didn't arrive like in August, because it'd be about 120 degrees. But today it's a very nice day.
Yeah. Today is wonderful weather. Hot weather like that, I don't think I can survive. Where I live in China is very hot and humid, but I think the heat of the desert like here would be very bad on me. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit before you got into the whole Dust universe. Probably a lot of people may not realize this, but I do believe you began as a classically schooled fashion designer. Is that correct?
Yeah. I had my education in fashion design. Then I specialized in fashion illustration, and this is a job I did for a long time actually when I was younger. Little by little, I developed a passion for science fiction and fantasy art, and I had a chance to try myself on this side of the art.
Sure. And
little by little, I learned the rules of the game, and I was lucky enough to be chosen amongst the illustrators to do Magic the Gathering and a lot of role-playing games, other card games in the time, and luckily some comic books. I'm not really a good comic book artist, but I did my little things.
Sure.
I enjoyed them, a part of them, and yeah, that was a natural step for me out of passion, right? And it's a blessing, you know. You have a hobby and you can make a living out of it. Oh, it's wonderful. I feel very lucky.
I was going to say, very, very few people have that opportunity to do that. Who were some of your influences growing up in fantasy and science fiction art?
Truly speaking, when I grew up in Italy, we had little or nothing at all fantasy literature, and science fiction was not really popular like today. So I grew up building model kits, World War II model kits. You can tell the influence is still there. And it's only after I was like 22 years old, I stepped into an American bookstore in Milano, a bookstore where they used to sell English language books, and in the window they displayed a book called Heroes for War Games. It's a book written by John Blanche mainly, from Games Workshop, and it featured crazy things that I was not aware of, right? Like the Games Workshop miniatures,
sure,
the metal, the first Skaven ogres, John Blanche conversions. I went like, wow, is that for real? And then I bought the book. I wanted to read through it. I read through it, and they mentioned role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons. At that time, actually, Citadel was doing minis for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, I remember those days.
And I remember that an old friend from my hometown mentioned that game one time I met him. So I called him. Oh, Livio. That's his name. Are you still playing that game, Dungeons and Dragons? Yes, every week. Can I join? I want to know what it is.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And that was the trap, my curse. I mean, I totally fell in love with these things.
It was your gateway drug.
Absolutely. And it's very addictive.
It is.
Yeah, but in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
In a good way. You know, it's a smart addiction. And so Livio introduced me to the game, and I mention him because he's still helping me nowadays with Dust Tactics. He doesn't really design anything, but he keeps a vigilant eye on whatever we do, design-wise, or rule-wise, painting-wise. He's full of suggestions and very helpful, so I'm still grateful. We are still friends. Imagine, we have been friends for 44 years.
Wow.
Since we were 4-year-old kids.
Wow.
So we built model kits together, and then of course he went to study something, I went to study something else. We recently met again for the miniatures passion, and that's wonderful. Yeah.
When you started playing miniatures games, what were some of the first miniatures games that you played?
I played Warhammer Battle. Yeah. That was the time where Warhammer Battle did those wonderful, how you say, campaign boxes. Mm-hmm. There was one with a castle. You just had floor plans of the different levels of the castle on different posters, and then I remember there was one with zombies and a farm. Zombies. I think you had to protect the bridge from the zombies to avoid the zombies getting into the farm, and that was amazingly fun. Amazingly fun. I have very good memories of those times. Yeah.
I always find it pretty interesting that gamers like ourselves, we can remember just wonderful gaming experiences 20 years later and can't remember the name of somebody we stood next to for an hour and a half.
Sometimes it happens. You know. Sometimes it happens, yeah. Me especially, because I have very bad memory. I only remember visuals. My names and addresses are like very difficult for me, yeah. But yeah, I mean, gaming is this, you know, when you have... I'm not a competitive gamer. I love to play with my friends and have fun. And that what happened those days, like with those wonderful campaign boxes. I mean, we had a lot of fun. And of course, we collect the miniatures, we would paint the miniatures, and we would forbid playing with unpainted miniatures. And we would spend weeks preparing for the, you know, big night.
Sure.
And that's wonderful. That's a very good hobby.
You and I both share I don't want to say dislike, maybe disdain for gamers who play with unpainted miniatures.
I pity them. I'm sorry. But yeah, from my point of view, as a gamer, I want to play with a wonderful looking army or the best looking army I can get.
Sure.
Nowadays, there is products in the market that help you to do this quickly and easily.
Yes.
It's not like 20 years ago. Like we had nothing and we had to do a decent job, and otherwise other people would make fun of us.
Yes.
Today you can do a pretty decent job easily and fast. So I think there is no excuse. There is no excuse. And then, you know, as a manufacturer today, I propose a fully ready painted product on my website. That is, of course, more expensive than the monochrome product we sell, and we distribute with Fantasy Flight Games, but still is not that outrageously expensive, and it's a very good quality. So I think there is no excuse.
None whatsoever. If you have some free time, turn the TV on. If you have to watch a TV show, paint some miniatures at the same time.
Yeah. And it's a wonderful hobby, so why not? Why not?
You had mentioned you had done work with Wizards of the Coast on Magic the Gathering. You've done work on quite a few other games outside of Dust.
Again, I think I was very lucky. It's a very fortunate chain of events. Like when I started doing games in Italy, one of the gaming friends was Giovanni Ingellis. A few people may remember him. He was a great guy who we founded Strate Libri, who was the biggest importer of games in Italy.
Oh wow! Okay.
And he was distributing Magic at the time, and he did the translation for Dungeons and Dragons, for example. He was a personality in the gaming universe in Italy. He passed away a few years ago, unfortunately. But I went to shop in his store. And then, we got acquainted, and then we started playing together. And he was a really funny guy, So gaming with him was a very good experience. Gaming with a good attitude. Not too competitive. Of course, we like to kick each other butt during gaming.
A good time laughing.
But yeah, with a very good time. So that was very lucky. When he started his company, not only importing games but making the Italian edition of those games, he gave me the opportunity to do illustrations for those role-playing games, or what was how do you call this in English? What the very old ice Lord of the Rings role-playing game.
The Roll Master, right? They had the Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Role-playing game. Call of Cthulhu.
My favorite role-playing game of all time.
And Cyberpunk from Talsorian. I mean, he wanted to make the Italian edition look better, and since I was capable of drawing, then we did this. We would recreate the art direction of the volumes, and that was a wonderful opportunity. Little by little, I got in contact with foreigner companies like Target Games from Sweden. They developed Mutant Chronicles.
Right.
And that was the time when they wanted to do a comic book with Mutant Chronicles. And they asked me to do it. And that was a big story. I think 5 or 6 volumes. So I got a bunch of fellow artists, and we built a studio, and we would do that for like 7 hours a day, 5 people working on the same panels, and because we had to rush. And when that happened, then they published the comic book. Then they used the frames to do cards. Magic was already existing, but I never had the opportunity to work with them until the day I was attending San Diego Comic-Con for the launch of that book. And I met the art director of Magic at the time. And so they hired me to do freelance work on Magic. And
those are, however anybody feels about Magic the Gathering, and I like it. I think it's a great game. The artwork is just eye-popping.
Yeah, it's astonishing. Yeah. I did a lot of cards for Magic, like under 20 or more. I lost count.
Right.
And it's been always a challenge and a pleasure. And Wizard of the Coast is a very good company, very serious towards artists, very respectful. It was a very good time for me.
They're very good to the media too, I have to say. They are always very helpful, very nice, and they go the extra mile.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And that opened the door to a lot of other commission work, because when you do Magic, you get a very good exposure. And I was lucky. Yeah, I was lucky enough to be hired and keep going for many years. Yeah. I quit doing Magic and cards in general when I started doing Dust. Actually, I didn't want to quit. I kept doing it, and then I kept disappointing my customers because that would require a lot of energy from me.
Yes.
So the quality of my painting started being kind of lower, or the time of doing a good quality painting would be too long for me to deliver on time. So there was a time where it's okay. I have to stop. I have to quit. Yeah.
And I'm sure no one else noticed this, but you thought it just wasn't what you wanted the work to be.
Our directors know this because I gave them a very hard time. I think the last time I did some magic painting, I think I delivered like 6 weeks beyond the deadline.
Wow, okay.
I think they waited for me to go print. That is awful. You should not do that.
Right.
That is, but that opens your eyes. Say, okay, okay. What do I choose? I chose dust.
And let's talk about dust, because there's probably a lot of aspects to dust that most gamers in the U.S. probably aren't very familiar with. But first off, how did the concept come about?
When I was working in this design school in Milano, I met this professor, a wonderful lady. She gave classes about creativity, very challenging classes for the students. Actually, she could cut off the non-creative students with her classes because, fashion is very appealing. It's a good business, and many students would approach fashion just because it sounds cool, right? And she was very strict, and non-creative people or people with not enough cultural level out. That is not really good for the business of the school,
right?
But in the end, it would bring reputation.
Yes.
So it was a very good thing. And Barbara, that was her name, is her name. She would demand that people look into their childhood, find out their passion, whatever it was, and translate it into garments. And this is actually what happened with me for dust. Not knowing that I was doing this process, but in the end, dust collects all the things I loved since I was a kid, like model kits, toy soldiers, paints, brushes,
pretty women.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? And that is all there. That is all there. Yeah. So like I'm kind of a Peter Pan of growing up, and enjoying what I love the most. Yeah.
And as far as Dust becoming a game, there was a board game, Dust. Granted, of course, Dust Tactics is really a board game. It's not necessarily a miniatures game. It's a board game played with miniatures. And then recently, Fantasy Flight Games came out with Dust Tactics.
Dust Warfare.
Oh, Dust Warfare. Yeah, one of my... Yeah. But you develop all the models, all the figures, all the backstory. That's all you. I know you have other members of the team who work together.
All this work you mentioned is done by three of us. Yeah, Dust is created by me. The real backbone of the background is my idea, my creation, and nowadays we develop Dust Tactics with Olivier Zanfirescu, who's the game designer, who also is in charge of the continuity and the background development. And Vincent Fontaine is the art director, painter, photographer, and advisor. Both of them are very good friends for the old times of Rackham. Olivier wrote the rules for Confrontation First Edition. Vincent has joined Rackham after, but was in Rackham for, I think, 10 years. And we were working closely already at that time on 8043. And yeah, it's like my dream team. Two lovely guys, very passionate, very serious, very competent. And yeah, we do all this together now. Yeah.
For people out there who aren't familiar with the Dust universe, and maybe they've seen some games being played when they're at a convention or something like that, what is the strong appeal that people have for Dust? Because it is a very popular system, and it's a popular universe.
What I guess is that the choice we made, we wanted a game for grown-ups. Well, the team was also kind of grown up, right? It's not like underage. You know, we have sexy ladies, and the battles are very furious, very fast, very deadly. But we wanted a system that could appeal people of my age or younger who are very busy in their life, and they want to have fun. They don't have time for headaches. They don't have time for endless discussions on line of sight. Are you in cover or not? Oh, but the feet of the figurine is not behind the rock. And this type of conversation that I had for years.
Sure.
We wanted a game that was nothing of that. Was just fun. Fast, furious, deadly, but fun. We wanted the game to have room for heroic action, like in a Hollywood movie. We don't count bullets. And we shoot a lot, and we laugh of it, you know. Like right. That's the good mood experience I wanted to give with Dust Tactics, and I think part of the customers really appreciate that. They don't mind the squares, and they have fun with it. They appreciate the models. They were to influence with a twist.
Yes.
The characters were overpowerful, but have this thing, and yeah, that is the spirit of the game. Like, we want to play like a Hollywood movie, like go for it and kick it.
Do you feel some of the sexiness of the Dust universe is lost to gamers here in the US?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, a lot of the artwork involved in Dust, especially at your own website, very busty, very voluptuous, very attractive ladies. I love pinup work. Yeah. I'm a huge Vargas fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see that aspect of the game. For an example, like Fantasy Flight Games seems almost standoffish. They don't have those kind of figures. I mean, I've seen some great figures from Dust, maybe not necessarily the game, the universe itself, that maybe FFG just doesn't want to go in that direction.
I don't think it's a FFG thing. Christian, the boss of FFG, CEO of boss.
Yes, right.
I'm sorry.
Yes. And
I say boss with this mobster accent. Sounds so bad. But Christian Peterson is very open to our creation, and is very happy when I develop a new female drawing, and that always finds a place in the books. So some of the older concepts that I did for some bigger scale models sometimes don't find a place in the game.
Right.
But it's not for censorship, absolutely not. The game is very young, and we have to fit a lot of good units right away. And we cannot just release characters and characters and characters. I don't want Dust Tactics to be a game about characters. I want it to be a game about armies and squads and units with some characters. I think the balance in between these elements is very important. So there is a lot of characters that are still in the drawers, but will be there sooner or later. It's not a censorship thing at all. No, Fantasy Flight Games is very respectful for the work we do.
Oh, I love Fantasy Flight Games. I was just kind of curious because I have seen some other items out there that I just don't believe FFG releases or...
But they would, and they will. It's just a matter of time. Actually, sometimes Christian would ask me when we prepare a new expansion, and where's the new lady drawing?
I'm asking that too. No.
What doing plenty of those anyway, plenty of those. And then there is a thing about the older designs that annoys me sometimes. Like I find them old. Maybe style-wise they're not up to date. Some of the designs, because fans sometimes ask me about some models we have in the bigger scale for the model kit. Like there is one, Fury of Even, that is just a big tank on two legs. That is a very old design. I think we can do better than just give legs to a tank to do dust, and we're doing that. So I'm kind of reluctant when it comes to release models that are very old design-wise. That's also a part of it. I want to develop something that looks better than that. Okay. That's the challenge.
And I have to say, for all the releases from Dust, the price point of the Dust Tactics, or now it's Dust Warfare as well, those figures is phenomenal for the price. Do you have a lot to do with that?
Well, that's a strategic choice. We are young, new on the market. Well, we were new in the market. Now, luckily, somebody knows our products, and
a lot of people know your products,
and they appreciate them, quality-wise. And we keep our margins very low, in order to offer these products at a very affordable price. In the future, we will have to increase the prices a bit. That's a must. Prices in China increase as well. Workers finally have a right to get paid for working overtime. And they have the right to a pension, and that's wonderful. But of course, manufacturing in China nowadays is not as inexpensive as it would have been 10 years ago or 12 years ago. So we will increase the prices a bit in the future, still being very affordable compared to other competitors. And that's what we have to do. I think it's a good choice. Also offering the product ready to play, I think it's a very strong point of our line. The models, we all know, they come pre-primed, and basically you need to plug some weapons or the machine guns, the most fragile parts that would not survive traveling, already in their place, and then you go and play with it. And I see people and shop owners really appreciate this side, so that's what we do.
And you have quite a few items on the Dust website that people would probably be very interested in that they can't really at this point get from Fantasy Flight Games. One is pre-painted figures.
Yeah, well, actually the pre-painted line is available on the website of Fantasy Flight Games. In the collectible side of their web.
That might be why I usually miss it.
Yeah, and that might be why they don't sell that well as we do on our own web. Because they buy quite a big quantity of those, and they sell them more slowly than us. I think there is different reasons. Our pre-painted are maybe for the very hardcore gamers. Those people maybe tend to want to buy directly from us. That is a very good thing for us financially, because it's very helpful. And then I think Fantasy Flight Games, because they're a board game company, they are very good at moving cartons of one game. And they might not be very specialized into selling individual smaller items. I think that's the reason. But they carry the product, and when I get the sales report, I see that they're slowly but steadily selling those things. So yeah.
And your website would be
www.dust-models.com.
Paolo, any last things you want to share with our viewers and actual listeners too about the Dust universe, or maybe what they can expect in the future?
We have a planning of releasing 3 new items every month. Concentrating on the 3 existing armies now. Then we will have a second edition of the game later this year. It's a very important second edition because it debugs not perfect rules here and there, makes the game more fluid and more fun without changing the spirit of it.
Yes.
It's not big deal changes.
Right. Tweaks, little tweaks. Right.
Exactly. And we will have a new campaign settings. We go where the weather is more hot. We leave the ices for now. And it's gonna be a good second edition. Yes, that is all for this year as big new stuff. We will not release a new army this year.
And I won't even ask what might be on the table because I know you wouldn't tell me anyway.
I can't. I want to, but I can't. No, it's really too soon to say. There is 2 choices. I'm developing both, and then it will be also up with my partners to pick which one we go first. So it's not only our decision. Commercial decisions need to be taken with your partners.
Of course.
Yeah.
And we may actually, maybe in the future, see different scales for the Dust universe as well. Maybe smaller scales, more epic battles, but we don't know right now.
Hopefully yes. It's a dream I have now. I'm actually developing a few prototypes for fun, and to see how they look like, what amount of details I need to give up, and if I'm still happy with it or not. Especially you need to simplify a lot the structure of things, but we're getting there. And yes, I think. Not very soon, but I think this is in the future of the line.
Fantastic. I personally think the Dust universe is amazing. I love the concept. I think you've done a phenomenal job with the figures. There's loads of detail, and I don't have to spend $15 on a figure to paint it up. And yes, people need to paint their miniatures. Paolo, thank you so much for joining me today, and enjoy the rest of your time here in Arizona at the Southwest Dust Devils Day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.